Since a visual novel is simply a novel with illustrations, a 3 to 5 minute gameplay segment won't make much sense. So, I'll show part of a few important chapters sped up, and I hope the illustrations will give you some ideas on how the game is played. Steins Gate is one of the best visual novels that I've ever played due to the amazing storyline and attractive illustrations. The game is based 99% on science and 1% fantasy, so the structure of the game is heavily influenced by the scientific method of modern research. Being a visual novel, Steins Gate has a very low degree of interaction, and for the most part, the player will need to read in order to follow the progression of the story. The game is absolutely free of puzzles and missions, but it still requires a tremendous amount of thinking to actually understand many of the underlying scientific concepts. Playing the game is not so play-boring, except for the huge amount of time spent. Being a scientific visual novel, Steins Gate has the concept of trial and error of the scientific method weaved into its structure. But to see that, I'll need to give some general information about the plot. So, Steins Gate focuses on the issues of time travel, but in a different approach. Instead of physically time traveling to the past, the protagonist finds out a way to transfer his current memory into his past self. Thus, his past self will have knowledge of the future and can change his course of actions accordingly in order to alter the future events. This technique is called time leap. The reason for the main protagonist Okabe to time leap into the past was to prevent the death of his childhood friend Mayuri. When Okabe failed, he time leaps again. Though he tried many times to save Mayuri, Okabe learns that his actions cannot prevent her death. They can only change how she will die. Again and again his efforts failed, and for the first time of his life he let his emotions become the best of him. Only after hundreds of failed attempts, he concluded that Mayuri was destined to die. No matter how many trials he did, the same error had occurred. He thought of a different approach, and concluded that he was not successful in saving Mayuri because he had not time-leaped far back enough into the past. This whole process of going back and forth in time is fundamentally similar to the scientific method. If the result of a certain experiment didn't match with the hypothesis, then a new hypothesis will be proposed, and the scientific method has to be repeated. This is the same for Okabe. If he had failed to save Mayuri, he would have to time leap back and modify his actions. This concept of trial and error can be seen in many games when the player is given more chances if they fail to complete a mission. But in Steins Gate, trial and error occurs naturally because of the time travel setting and plot. Keep in mind that there are others apart from Okabe and his team who wants to capitalize on the ability of time travel as well. And it will soon be obvious that there is a huge significance of being able to control time, yet equally a huge risk. The game shows that messing with time will cause serious repercussions. Humans are not capable of controlling time, for they cannot predict how their actions will change the future. The game refers to this situation as the butterfly effect, which is a part of the larger and more complex chaos theory. It is important to remember that the actions you make can affect the lives of others.